Hello there, this is Delight Channel, Development, Empowerment and Leadership Initiative. Here, every week, we release a video that we believe will help you to actualize your dream and will help us achieve our vision, which is world transformation, one man at a time, one community at a time. I am very glad you're able to make it again this week. Thanks for joining me. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we have been focusing on effective business writing. This is what we have started to talk about so that we can contribute to you becoming a more effective, compelling, and powerful communicator, particularly in the business world or in the formal world. And we have spoken about what communication is. We have tried to focus on why it is critical. We've spoken about what is common to all forms of communication. And then we have tried last week to focus on what is peculiar about the different types of communication. This week, we are on written communication. So, what are the peculiarities that you need to pay close attention to when you are writing? Let me allude a bit to some of the things that we've said before. And if you did not watch the video that spoke about what is common to all the communication types, please go back and watch, because the items shared there speaks very particularly to the written communication. But by way of paraphrasing, it is critical that you understand that while you may get away with some gaps and some errors and some omissions and commissions when you are speaking, the written communication is not so forgiving. As recent as this year, I still have some of the mail that I sent 2001. That is almost 17 years ago. Still intact. Whatever grammatical errors I committed there are written there. Whatever nice phrases I had there, they are still retained there. So, you need to remember that once you've written, it is kind of stored. And particularly in this era of social media and internet, once you write and you send it out, you lose all control over it. In fact, something you've written just now can travel around the world and back in a matter of seconds. So, when you are writing, you need to remember that it is permanent. You may not be able to retrieve it, and it can affect everything from your brand perception, from the kind of response you get from your customers, from how it affects your profitability, how it affects your revenue profile, how it affects your corporate image. Writing is critical, is very sensitive. You have to be deliberate, and you must be prepared for it. So, what are the peculiarities? Now, number one is grammar. Unfortunately, I am not in a position to go through all the details of grammar in just 7 or 10 minutes. But please polish your grammar. And when you are not sure, check. And if it is still complicated and you are still not sure, rephrase and break it down into more simple tenses that takes you away from all the complications of is the verb and the subject, are they in agreement? Are you using is it a phrase? Is this a sentence? All those technicalities, you need to be sure, particularly once it is written. So number one will be grammar. Number two will be voices and tenses. There is no one way of writing, as you probably already know, but one rule of voices and tenses is that you have to be consistent. And if I may say, it is better to write and speak in active voice than in passive voice. And when you are writing, your time framing for your voice and your tense must be consistent. Don't use words that sometimes looks like you are speaking about the past, and then another tense that makes it look like, okay, maybe you are talking about the present. Again, if you remember, one of the forces of communication is that you have to be clear. Once you are not sure, simplify it and make it very simple. Make that number two, voices and tenses. Number three is the use of commas. Commas and punctuations can completely change the texture of your communication. As an example, look at this writing on your screen. A woman without her man is nothing. I repeat, a woman without her man is nothing. Where you put the punctuation can completely change the meaning. So, you can read a woman without her man is nothing. Still exactly the same words. A woman without her man is nothing. And if you change the punctuation, the comma, it can be a woman without her man is nothing. Simply by where you have inserted the punctuation. So, when it comes to punctuation, particularly the comma, you need to be clear and deliberate. All right? And if you are not sure, even though this does not always solve the problem, there is the old rule of read it out aloud. Wherever you find yourself catching your breath or pausing or slowing down, most probably you need a comma there. But if you are not sure, once again, check, because the comma can make all the difference in the interpretation. That would be number 3, the use of your commas. Number 4, paragraphing. If you watch the video where we spoke about what is common, we said one of the key things of effective communicator is to create a flow. One of the things that helps you to create flows are paragraphs. Paragraphs are segments of your writing that you create to help the reader digest your writing in small bits and pieces. There are no absolute rules about this, but as much as possible, you need to keep it one idea to a paragraph. If the idea is too big, you can break it down into multiple paragraphs while you are focusing on different segments and sections of the ideas. And if it is too small, you can combine 1 or 2 ideas into a paragraph. But one additional benefit of paragraphing is that it helps you create meaningful white space in your writing, okay? And those white spaces make your writing more pleasant to the eye and less stressful when the reader is reading. As a matter of fact, it's one of the major contributors to a favorable readability index. So, paragraphing helps you to manage the flow of your content. Make that number 4. Number 5, that is the use of capital letters and colors. I call that the use of caps and colors. Can you imagine a writing where everything is written in capital letter? And to make it interesting, the writer also now colors everything in red? What? That is like the writer screaming and shouting. It is something you need to be aware of. Many people do it without thinking or considering how it is being perceived. But you need to stay away from writing everything in caps or even insensitive use of colors. Yes, capital letters, making your text bold, underlining them, introducing some colors. They help you to drive emphasis. They help you to draw attention. They help you to highlight what is critical and what is important, but they must be used wisely, particularly in writing, because the way you write it is the way the reader is kind of going to perceive it, and you cannot influence how the reaction is going to be. So when you are using capital letters and you are using colors and you are using all those formatting extras, please be careful and conscious so that it does not come out like you are screaming, shouting, or just being rude in your writing. Make that number 5. I can go on and on in terms of written communication, but time will not permit me to go much further. But the bottom line I want you to be conscious of is that when it comes to written communication, it's more permanent, and because of technology, it is very easy for it to get out of your hand. So, by way of rules, follow the tips I've shared with you, and if I can add this closing element, do not write when you are angry. It does not matter how irritating or upset you may be careful, because when you have written in anger and you have sent it out, particularly via electronic means, you may not be able to recall it. And you do not want to be embarrassed when what you thought was private communication ends up in public space, and then nobody will cut you any slack considering the content of your writing. So, as you pursue becoming an effective communicator in the workplace or in the formal environment, I wish you all the best. I request that you watch this again if you have to. Feel free to share, and if you need me to help with anything, you can reach me via the email address on your screen. And next week, we will touch briefly on the peculiarities of the visual communication. And after that, we will have 1 or 2 more videos to land this effective business communication, and then we'll move on to the next bus stop. I hope you find this useful, because our reason for releasing these videos every week, convenient or not, easy or not, ready or not, is because we are determined to do our little bit in helping you along in your journey to living your dream. T-Mac is still my name, and all we are trying to do here is what? Make a little difference. Thanks for being here this week, and see you next week. Bye.